Ave Caesare.
Think politics is brutal today? Imagine walking into a room full of your closest allies, only for them to stab you 23 times. That's not a metaphor. That's how Julius Caesar died. And what you've heard barely scratches the surface. Let's break down why Caesar's assassination was worse, much worse, than we were told. It's the year 44 B.C.E. Rome is teetering. Civil war had raged for years. Caesar had crushed Pompey, paraded through the streets in a gilded chariot, and declared himself dictator for life. The Senate, once the heartbeat of Roman politics, now bowed before one man. To some, Caesar was the savior of Rome. He had cleared debts, redistributed land, and offered citizenship to foreigners. But to others, especially the patrician elite, he was a tyrant draped in republican robes. Whispers spread that Caesar would make himself king. That word, king, was poison in the Roman world. The monarchy had been thrown out centuries earlier, and Romans took pride in never letting one man hold absolute power again. So when Caesar began accepting honors that reeked of monarchy, statues among the gods, his image on coins, even a throne in the Senate, many saw it as a red line crossed. A group of senators, calling themselves the Liberators, began to plot. But this wasn't a heroic last stand for the Republic. This was class warfare dressed in togas. The ringleaders, Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius, weren't idealists. They were aristocrats who feared losing their influence. Brutus had once fought against Caesar, then switched sides when it was convenient. Cassius had openly resented Caesar's rise from the beginning, and now they felt their world slipping away. So they began to recruit. 80 men. That's how many joined the conspiracy. Some hated Caesar. Others were just afraid of what would happen if they didn't go along. It wasn't a noble rebellion. It was a panic-fueled suicide pact. They knew what Caesar had done to his enemies before. They knew failure meant torture, exile, or death. So they aimed for the most precise strike in Roman political history. Not on a battlefield, not in the Senate chamber, but in a sacred space, the theater of Pompey. It was a site heavy with irony. Pompey, the rival Caesar had defeated, had built it as a monument to Roman greatness. Now, Caesar would die beneath a statue of the man he had crushed. March 15th, the Ides of March. Caesar is running late. His wife, Calpurnia, had begged him not to go. She'd dreamt of his statue pouring blood. Priests had found bad omens in the entrails of sacrificed animals, but Caesar, superstitious as he was, laughed it off. He had just returned from a triumphant campaign in Spain. He was preparing to leave for war again, this time against Parthia. He felt untouchable. Still, he hesitated, and that hesitation almost saved him, if not for one man. Decimus Brutus, no relation to Marcus, was a friend Caesar deeply trusted. Caesar had even named him in his will. But Decimus was a conspirator, and that morning he showed up at Caesar's door, calm, reassuring. He told Caesar the Senate was waiting, that rumors were spreading about his cowardice, that missing the session would show weakness. Caesar sighed, rose, dressed in his purple robes, and walked out the door to die. The theater of Pompey wasn't just a stage, it was a complex, with gardens, porticos, meeting rooms, and, tucked behind it all, a temporary Senate hall. That's where they waited. The senators stood. They smiled. They waved him in. Then they closed the door behind him. There was no escape. The first to approach was Tullius Cimber. He handed Caesar a petition, something about pardoning his brother. Caesar waved it away. Then Cimber grabbed his shoulders. That wasn't protocol. That wasn't Roman. Caesar frowned. He opened his mouth to protest, and then the knives came out. Casca struck first. His blade missed the mark, only grazing Caesar's shoulder. Caesar turned in shock. "Casca, you villain, what are you doing?" Then came the others. Brutus, Cassius, Cimber, Trebonius, Ligarius, more. Knives from every direction, into his chest, his side, his back. Some struck bone, some cut deep into his organs. One pierced his eye socket, another his groin. Caesar fought back, briefly. He swung his arms, he cried out, he tried to flee, but there was nowhere to go. 80 men, 80 blades. It wasn't a clean execution. It was a frenzy, a stampede of steel in a room too small for it. One conspirator accidentally stabbed another. Blood soaked the floor. Caesar's blood, their own blood. And then, he saw Brutus, not Decimus, Marcus, and something in Caesar broke. According to legend, he muttered, "Et tu, Brute," before covering his face with his robe and collapsing at the base of Pompey's statue. He died with 23 stab wounds, but only one was fatal, the second to the chest, which pierced his heart. The rest? Overkill, rage, panic, or fear of being left out of history. You might think the city exploded in celebration, that the people cheered the Republic's saviors. They didn't. Rome froze. The senators fled. The conspirators wiped their daggers on their togas and walked out into the forum, shouting that tyranny was dead. No one cheered. Citizens shut their windows, markets closed, shops locked up, and then came the funeral. Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal friend, gave the eulogy, but it wasn't words that moved the crowd, it was the body. Caesar's bloodied corpse was displayed to the people, laid on a bier, still in his purple robes, slashed and soaked in crimson. The crowd gasped. They saw the holes, the wounds, the betrayal. Then Mark Antony read Caesar's will. He had left money for every Roman citizen. He had donated his gardens for public use. He had planned new reforms. Suddenly, the tyrant didn't seem so tyrannical. Anger boiled. The funeral turned into a riot. The crowd seized benches, tore down buildings, and built a pyre in the forum. They burned Caesar's body on the spot, and with it, the illusion of a peaceful republic. But the horror wasn't over. Caesar's assassination didn't restore Rome. It destroyed it. The power vacuum was immediate, and nature abhors a vacuum. Into it stepped Antony, and Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir. The two men, once allies, would soon turn on each other in one of the bloodiest power struggles in Roman history. The liberators tried to escape. Brutus and Cassius fled east and raised armies, but they were hunted down. In 42 B.C.E., at the Battle of Philippi, both men fell on their own swords. The republic they claimed to save? Dead. In its place rose the empire. But let's return to the assassination itself, because the brutality runs deeper than just the bloodshed. Romans believed in dignitas, in gravitas, in decorum. Caesar was the Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest of Rome. His body was sacred. To butcher him in a sacred Senate hall, beneath the statue of a dead rival, wasn't just a murder, it was sacrilege. The room itself became cursed. The Senate never met there again. Even the knife wounds told a story. Some were defensive, others were vengeance. One wound went straight through his genitals, interpreted by some historians as symbolic castration. A message that Caesar's power had been cut off. And the betrayal? That's the real wound. Caesar trusted Brutus, had mentored him, had spared him in war. His shock at seeing Brutus among his killers wasn't just personal. It was symbolic of everything Rome had become. No alliances, no loyalty, only ambition. After his death, Caesar's body was cremated, his ashes interred in the Forum. You can still visit the site today. People still leave flowers. Some even call him a martyr. But Caesar wasn't innocent. He had crushed opponents. He had centralized power. He had bent the republic to his will. But he also believed he was saving it. From corruption, from incompetence, from aristocratic decay. His assassins believed the same. And that's what makes it so chilling, because both sides thought they were saving Rome. Instead, they killed it. We imagine the fall of Rome as something gradual, barbarian invasions, economic collapse, cultural decay. But in truth, the seed was planted the day Caesar's blood hit the marble floor of Pompey's theater. That was the moment the Republic died, and everyone just pretended it didn't. So next time you hear et tu, Brute, remember this. Caesar's death wasn't a tragic Shakespearean moment. It was a full-blown political slaughter. A gang execution masquerading as patriotism. And the cost? The death of a 500-year-old democracy. All because men in white robes couldn't stand the idea of losing power. Let the marble floors run red. Let the statues bear witness. Because when a knife goes in 23 times, it's not justice. It's revenge. And Rome would never recover. Not really. Not ever.